Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Healing Heroes podcast. I am so thrilled you are here, so thank you for tuning in. Today, we'll be talking more about what the Healing Heroes podcast is, why I created this show, and what you can expect to unfold in the very meaningful conversations that follow. First, I have to be honest with you guys and come clean about something, which is I have been extremely nervous and still am about recording this episode because it is not easy to be here and open up to you all and share my story about my past. But I know it's important context for this show and the conversations that follow. So here we go. And rather than bore you with some long monologue, it was actually my therapist, Jen Baumgold, who pointed out that I am in fact a healing hero and therefore should answer the same questions that I ask my healers in the episodes to come. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. I can't say I've ever done an interview like this before, but I'm here for it and hope you'll stick around to find out what all of this is about. Because we will be talking about the greatest gift you can ever give yourself, your children, your spouse, your friends, and your community. I will offer my more relevant backstory a bit later on, but in the spirit of providing my official credentials in keeping with how I introduce all of the heroes on this show, I'll tell you that I have spent nearly the last 20 years of my career marketing some of the world's largest brands across categories, from healthcare to consumer packaged goods to ultimately financial services, where I spent the last 10 years of my career. And while I've led massive experiential moments, digital experiences, Super Bowl campaigns, PR stunts, product launches, and the list goes on, my proudest accomplishment has been raising two caring, incredible children alongside my husband in a community we absolutely adore. So that's a little bit more about me, and it sounds pretty magical, right? Well, on the surface, absolutely. But today, we're going to unearth what was really going on. So let's dive in, shall we? Before we jump into what the Healing Heroes podcast is and why someone should listen, what was it that inspired you to launch a podcast? Ultimately, the inspiration for this show came from a deep sense of gratitude. Just gratitude for the 12 incredible humans and healers who have helped me along this journey to open my eyes to an entirely new way of living. And I think a deep gratitude for the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, for helping me realize that this entire time my life has been happening for me, not to me, as we so often believe. So those were two big unlocks for me. And I think that gratitude coupled with a deep desire to help other women discover that same sense of joy and fulfillment is honestly how this podcast was born. It's a roadmap for how to heal, how to find more happiness in this lifetime, and have a lot of fun in the process by approaching it through new ways and methods that many people haven't even considered before. And so that was really the inspiration for the show. Next question. What was it in your everyday life that you needed to heal? Well, before I began this journey, I was a typical mom living a pretty normal existence. I have 2 kids, a great husband. I live in a house in a community that I adore. I had a great job at an amazing company, commuting into New York City a couple days a week. So from the outside, everything was pretty good. And I certainly acknowledge that I've been so blessed and I'm so fortunate to have lived the life that I have been accustomed to for so long. My only complaints were a history of digestive issues that I had had since I was a little girl, anxiety, which really started in a major way, I would say, after I had 2 children, and finally, occasional irritability and just a general lack of happiness. I mean, I was happy, don't get me wrong, but it was like I'd be in some of my happiest moments and my joy felt muted. Like I should be happier in this moment. Why does everyone else around me seem so genuinely happy? And I feel stuck, like on a scale of 1 to 10, my happiness was at a 5 or 6 when I knew it should be an 8 or 9 or even a 10. And so I would say those 3 things, the physical digestive issues, the anxiety, and this general feeling like I should be happier were the, 3 key things that were bothering me. And then last June, my digestive issues escalated to the point where I was so bloated every night that I felt, and if I'm being honest, looked 9 months pregnant most nights as I was going to sleep. I was uncomfortable. It was taking a toll on me physically, mentally, emotionally, all the things. So I sought the advice and counsel of a renowned gastroenterologist in the Connecticut area. I did a series of tests. They all came out perfectly normal. There was nothing wrong with me. And yet I was feeling so awful every day. And each night going to bed at night, I knew something was wrong, but all of the tests showed that I was completely healthy. And then something interesting happened. I was traveling last June to Colorado for work, and in the airport, a book caught my eye from afar in an airport bookstore. And that book was The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And I had heard of the book before, so I don't know what compelled me to pick this up. Probably the fact that I was dealing with all of these issues. And I got on the plane and I devoured it. And what this book is about is essentially how trauma literally reshapes the body and the brain, making a case for how trauma compromises one's capacity for joy, trust, engagement with the world, amongst many other things. And I was so fascinated by this concept of emotional trauma creating this physical reaction or ailments in our bodies that I sought the help of a therapist and, at the recommendation of a friend, made my first acupuncture appointment to try tackling my health challenges in a very new and different way. And so from there, this wild, incredible year-long journey to heal my mind, body, and soul began, and I've never looked back. Next question. What was it in your past that resulted in this book speaking to you on such a deep level? Was there trauma that you needed to work through? Well, guys, I think first it's important to define trauma because so many of us don't think we had trauma, or they believe that their trauma isn't as significant as somebody else's. And what I would say about trauma is that it's not about the objective circumstances of the event. It's more about your subjective experience of it. Or said another way, it's not what happens to you, it's how you perceive what happens to you. Now, traumatic experiences often involve a threat to life or safety, don't get me wrong, but any situation that leaves you feeling overwhelmed and isolated can result in a trauma, even if it doesn't involve physical harm. And I like to think about these traumas in 2 categories as I've learned more about this. The first is what I like to call big T traumas. These are maybe the obvious ones, guys. Any threat to life, as mentioned, or safety, as well as abuse, loss, abandonment, rejection, shame, serious illness, or anything, honestly, that matures you too early, I would say you could categorize as one of those big T traumas. And then on the other hand, there are micro traumas, and these traumas tend to show up as minor incidents that happened in childhood. Things like being teased on the playground, feeling misunderstood, being neglected, witnessing a conflict, feeling left out, large disappointments in life, invalidation, and the list goes on. Well, my trauma, unfortunately, qualifies me for both categories. My big T trauma was that growing up, we had a live-in babysitter, and her husband at the time sexually abused me for many years, starting around the time that I was 8 years old, about the time my parents split up. And it continued until I want to say sixth grade. So I must have been 11 or 12 years old. And I would say that stretch was a particularly difficult time for me. I think, as you can imagine, the impact of that showed up academically. I really struggled to comprehend concepts in school. I was, 20 pounds overweight. So I grew up not looking like the other girls, and I was teased for it. And that was hard. It was all really hard. And in the background of that, my parents had split up, and they were navigating that trauma for themselves. And so I was left feeling really unseen by the world and taking on a lot of responsibility around the house and trying to keep the peace, as so many survivors often do. I truly felt responsible for the emotions of those around me, and to some degree felt like it was my responsibility to help take care of my parents during those early years as well. So it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. And to those who are curious, I did tell adults. And I actually credit a group of friends. We were away on a school trip in, I think, ninth grade. And they encouraged me to tell a guidance counselor. So I'm really grateful to that group of girls. And while we didn't press charges because so much time had passed, it definitely helped me to come clean and talk about it. I did get therapy at the time, but it was determined that I was, all else aside, dealing with it pretty well. And then I didn't need to continue therapy if my parents didn't feel like that was a solution for me. And so while I did some therapy, I stopped shortly thereafter, and I thought I had processed it and metabolized all of the trauma that I had felt and experienced during that time in my life. But as I will be the first to admit now, I was very wrong in making that assumption. And it has been really eye-opening for me to understand what was really happening below the surface all these years. Next question. What is the Healing Heroes podcast? I love the Healing Heroes podcast, you guys. This podcast is meant to help women come home to themselves, to connect with themselves on a deeper level than they've probably ever connected with themselves before, and show how fun it can be to do this work in new and exciting ways. This show is not about telling you what to do. It's about reminding you who you are. You are enough. You are amazing. And if nobody has told you this lately, you are doing a great job, whether that's at work, whether that's in mothering your children, whether that's being a supportive spouse or a good friend in your community, good to yourself. You are doing a good job. And you've proven to everyone around you that they can count on you. So now I'd offer that maybe it's time to take care of yourself. And well-intentioned friends have asked me, why would someone want to heal and do this work and go back and face these difficult times and experiences in their life? And well, I have a few answers for that. The first is there's an immediate reward. Yes, an immediate reward to healing. And that is that these modalities and approaches that we're talking about on the show are fun. Yes, they are fun. And They are an escape from the busyness of your mind and of your life. These are great ways to truly nourish yourself, to drop into your body and really tune into how you're feeling so you can examine your life from a variety of different vantage points. They are a break from feeling like the entire world rests on your shoulders and your shoulders alone. Managing kids' activities, folding laundry, getting bills paid, going to your job and getting that presentation done, whatever that looks like in your life. These approaches are a break. Even if you don't want to heal, just go to an acupuncture appointment and just zen out. Myofascial release, so relaxing. Check your horoscopes. Get your tarot cards read. Do you even know what human design is? That's okay. You're going to find out more about it on this show. Whether you're healing or not, they are restful, they are restorative, and they are good for the soul. The second thing I would say is that there's a long-term reward, and that long-term reward is all about finding the kind of happiness you only read about. Joy in the small things. And I am proof of this. I have been able to access new levels of happiness that I never thought were available to me. And the beauty of this is that in doing that for myself, not only am I happier, but I see my kids are happier. My friends are happier when they're with me. My spouse is happier. They are all interacting and engaging with me from this new energy. And it has made all the difference. And I want that for you. I want that for everyone. When you heal the woman, you heal everything around her. It's so powerful. And reclaiming your power like that is the most empowering and embodying experience you can ever have. Someone once told me that the meaning of life is to find your passion, and the purpose of life is to share it with others. Are you living your passion? Are you sharing it with others? I want you to be so connected with yourself that you know why you are here on this earth and what you are meant to do. And once you figure that out, that is nirvana. That is the best feeling in the world, the best feeling in the world. And so I want that for everybody. The third thing I would say about healing is that these modalities that we'll be talking about on this show make it impossible to fail. It's true. They make it impossible to fail. And you don't have to do them all. I am just giving you a menu of tools to choose from that feel exciting and authentic to you. You by no means have to go out and do every single one of these things, but I have done them. And the heroes are happy to talk about all of these things as we go through them on the show. I just want you to go out and explore and be curious about yourself and try to hear yourself in a way that maybe you haven't been able to pay attention to in a very long time. I was the person who could not meditate. Prior to doing this work, I couldn't meditate. I couldn't quiet my mind. But you get on that acupuncture table and those needles go in, you are gently but forcibly put in that meditative state. Hot yoga, the breathing, the stretching, the movement, the heat. You have no choice but to get out of your mind and be present in your body. Myofascial release, so refreshing. Astrology, there are so many ways to examine how you're feeling from a very unique perspective. How do the healing heroes do this? How can you promise us that we will not fail? The healing heroes teaches you not to just cope, but truly heal whatever wounds are underneath and are holding you back. And that's what makes these approaches so effective. And this is something that I've experienced and observed personally and how I think about healing, which is through the lens of your past, your present, and your possible. Now, bear with me for a moment because you cannot feel better in your present and in your future without going back and addressing the wounds, the hurts from your past that are keeping you from that joy. In your present, you can't honor the work you're doing to go back to your past or to think about how you want to feel and what you want your life to be like in the future if you're not setting the stage for that kind of growth today. So you have to take care of yourself in the present. And that can be simple things. We'll talk about accountability, nutrition, exercise on this show, but it's also truly savoring and enjoying that cup of coffee in the morning, going for a walk outside, reading a book, connecting with friends, whatever is authentic to you and that brings you joy in the present. That is just as important as the hard work going back and navigating your past. And then I think the piece that we so often forget is our future, our possible. And I don't mean a future that you design in, I want to have this house, or my dream is to have this car, or I want the guy or the job. I mean a feeling that you anchor your future in. What is that singular feeling that you want to experience day in and day out? And when you know what that feeling is, you can let the universe, God, whatever you believe in, go to work for you the way I and so many others know that it does. You have to trust. You have to learn to trust. And when you can do that, when you can trust that your life is happening for you and have a sense of where you want to go, suddenly you're operating as this singular universal being where you're healing your past, you're taking care of your present, and you're looking to create a very specific vision for your future. And that's so powerful. When you see that future, you can't unsee that, guys. You can't unsee it. It's so powerful. And it's such an important part of this process that I think we so often forget. And I think the healing heroes in particular and the approaches and modalities that they practice, the beauty of those is that they take care of that mind, body, soul approach for you. So you don't even have to think about that part. You just need to make sure and ask yourself the question, am I doing the work to go back to my past and heal anything that is holding me back? What's back there that could be stopping me from experiencing and living the life that I know I can achieve? How am I taking care of myself in the present? Am I doing the things I need to do to nourish myself so that I can do that hard work in my past, but also set the groundwork and the foundation for that future you envision and so want for yourself? And I think when we can think of it holistically like that, it's incredibly powerful. And the healing heroes help you along that journey so that a lot of it is just automatic. And again, it's fun. It's a new way of thinking about personal growth and healing that I don't think many people are talking about today, where you can be supported and you aren't just in it alone and by yourself, because you aren't alone. You're never alone. What has been the most surprising thing you've learned or seen along your journey to heal? I think oftentimes, the most surprising thing I've seen along my journey is that so often we don't realize that we need to heal. Less than 1 year ago, I was a confident, successful, accomplished executive with a life that I had always dreamed of. I thought I had overcome my past. I had metabolized it. I had moved on from it. But what I will tell you is, even signing up for therapy, I thought my most difficult work would be in revisiting the moments of the abuse and reliving some of those traumas. But no, guys, no, I was absolutely shocked to learn that without a doubt, the hardest part of healing was coming to terms with these long held beliefs that I had about myself that I didn't even know were there. These limiting beliefs that I had been carrying around about my worth, my intelligence, my value, my enoughness. I never would have told you that they were passengers in my life, in my day to day. But it was so eye-opening to hear what poured out of me in some of these therapy sessions with the help of the EMDR work, which I will talk about in a subsequent episode. But ultimately, I believe so many women are healing from something that they don't even know is there. And if they do, they're afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to let others in or show any sort of vulnerability because there's so much pressure to keep it together all the time. Ultimately, what I think this comes down to is that women everywhere need to heal their self-worth. I think it's broken. And I think you can be the most confident executive on the planet. I certainly felt that I exuded confidence in my day-to-day, not just professionally, but also personally. And when you really strip away the layers, what lies beneath can be really telling and really surprising. But if you go back and do that work, the change that you feel, it's like new ceilings of joy just get shattered whenever you have a breakthrough and you're suddenly looking at the world through a new set of glasses. It's so powerful to heal yourself from within. And the only way we can do that effectively is by getting curious and going deep and asking the tough questions. But what I will say is that the payoff is priceless. I've already talked about the joy and the happiness, but even in relationships, the way that doing this work transforms your relationships for the better has been one of the best parts about healing for me. My kids are operating in this completely new energy that has changed the way we interact with each other. I'm yelling a lot less. They hear me, they feel seen by me. It's been really magical. And the other thing I would say is even with friends, I've been able to support them in ways that I've never been able to support them before. I'm asking the right questions. I'm going deeper with them and creating those connections that are so hard to find and foster in adulthood. And it's really incredible how when you change one person, everything around her starts to shift as well. And people see you doing the work and they start operating from that same place, that same energetic place. And they want to do the work themselves in some ways. And that's really inspiring when you can affect that kind of change in the world. So, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And healing can truly be the most fulfilling and joyous journey you will ever go on. What do you think is a common fear or misnomer about healing? And what would you say to the listener who is thinking about giving it a try? That it's hard, that it's scary, that the payoff may not be super clear to them right now. But what I will say is that our bodies always want to tell us the stories we have forgotten or don't want to hear. Sometimes it starts as a whisper, but then begins to scream to get us to pay attention. And on this show, our mission, our singular mission is to get you to pay attention. And if you're ready to take action, we are providing the tools that can help you along the way to embark on that journey in a way that is energized, that is fulfilling, that is fun, and that is successful every time. Any suggestions for how people can dabble or dip their toe in healing without the support of a professional? Yes, listen to the show. It's fun, guys. We are fun. The heroes are amazing. There are so many different ways to nourish yourself and reconnect with your body, mind, and spirit. And I am so excited to share these new approaches with you that you maybe haven't considered before. So that is one way that you can embark on a healing journey at home without a professional. But I would say for those who want to go further than that, it really is just nourishing yourself in small ways. Try to reconnect with that voice within by dropping into your body and quieting your mind so that you can finally hear yourself again. Whether that's walking in nature, meditating in the morning, just sitting with a cup of coffee and looking out a window, whatever that needs to be for you, just find and prioritize those moments of quiet when you can really hear yourself again. I think that is the most important thing, if nothing else. Also, trust the timing of your life. It is never too late to become whoever or whatever you want to be. And I think when you're ready, we're here. We're here to embrace you. We're here to support you in that journey. If you're not ready to heal, that's fine. Come hang out with us anyway. We're a fun group. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. And I would say if there's one thing you take away from this show, I hope it's this. You are enough. You have always been enough, and you will always be enough. I really want you to believe that at your core. And if that is a hard message for you to hear today, then I encourage you to come back and listen to my Healing Heroes, because I promise you, you are not alone. This will always be a place to feel connected to yourself and to a community of women who are together on this quest to reclaim themselves and their happiness in the process. If you think someone else needs to hear this today, please share it with friends and don't forget to subscribe. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com to learn more about the heroes and what healing is all about. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.